Well, good morning everybody. Welcome to 15 Minutes of Thought. I'm Dr. JD Swanson, for those who don't know me. Today what I want to talk about is ankle flexibility and how you can sort of improve it. And there's multiple ways. I've got the camera set a little bit lower, so it might chop my head off. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but let's get to it, yeah? So today I just want to talk a little bit about just basically the uncut itself, which is where you see a lot of ankle flexibility issues, both in back, but also in forward. The way I define forward stance and where ankle flexibility becomes super important to me is this idea of where I can keep the angle that I can keep my foot at, but still keep my hip tucked under and my back heel down. So if I go into uncut Shomen, what I find is that my total length of stance is limited by two things. Number one is my hip flexibility, the second is my ankle flexibility. So if I turn my hip, if I lengthen my stance any further, notice either my back heel comes up, or if I try and push that down, my butt starts to stick out. So my stance is a combination of my flexibility both here and my hip, where I can keep my butt under, and my heel to be able to keep it on the ground to keep it pushing forward. So one of the questions that we get quite often is, how do we actually build that ankle flexibility? How can you do it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a number of exercises that you can do that help increase it. But something that's really important for you to understand is that your ankle flexibility, while you can improve on it, it will eventually stop, especially if you're like me and have relatively high arches in your feet. Right? What will happen is if you have high arches, your ankle joint comes over the top. Eventually your ankle, as you increase that flexibility, you'll reach a limit where you end up with literal bone on bone sort of crushing into the ankle or pushing down on your arches. So you want to pay attention to that. And if you look at a lot of people with very flexible ankles, they have very, very flat feet. So there's multiple places. When you work on your ankle flexibility, there's two major places that you can work on it. One of them is of course across the calf, the other is down into the Achilles. And what I'm going to do is give you just several exercises that you can do to play around with that. Again, you will eventually reach a stopping point, right? But you can build on it as you work on it. So the first thing that I often use, because you use your calves a lot, and if you went out and you ate your calf muscle, not that you would, but if you went out and ate it, it's a really hard, solid bit of muscle. It wouldn't be very good to eat because it's used in so many actions. So one of the things is use a good old-fashioned foam roller. And what you can do with this, and I have just a plain, I don't know, $10 one from Walmart. What you can do is just sit on it and just add some weight to it. So you can either go with the weight of your leg, you can go with the weight of the other leg, you can lift your butt off the ground, right? Any of the above. And what you want to do is you want to push it anywhere from here all the way up. So as you foam roll, you don't want to do it like you're rolling out like a piece of ham. Oh, that's comfy. What you want to do is just add that little bit of weight and wait till you find a trigger point. Wow, there we go, there's one there for me. So notice I'm going left and right. I'm working my way down my calf as I go, and I'm feeling all these little trigger points. When I feel one, just as you can bear it, add a little bit of weight, add a little bit more, and just relax as much as you can while that muscle's getting lit up. And again, you work that all the way through your calf. So here, there's another one right there for me. I'll sit on it, lift up, and just let it relax. Right, again, I can also move with that weight on there. And again, there's one there. I'll just sit and wait, let it relax. And you'll see what you often have to do when you're foam rolling out is you have to actively think, I've got to relax my calf, I've got to relax this muscle. Don't tighten it up, don't work against the foam roller, rather relax into it. So take your time with it, right? Take your time with your foam rolling. Don't just sort of push, oh, they're done, neck, move on. Take a good 15, 30 seconds once you hit one of those trigger points to allow the muscle to relax, and do it often. That's number one. The second thing you can start to do, once you've got the muscles sort of warmed up, is start to thinking about stretching. So easy ones that you can do is get things like a 2x4 or even a step, right? So you can take a regular body step or even a bit of 2x4 if you don't have it, and simply sit there. You'll only see my legs and hands from here, and just feel, just relaxing down like so. So just allowing that motion. If you don't have a step or something like that, you can also use a wall. So what you can do quite often is just come up against a wall like so, put your feet up, and then just stretching in, just pushing your calf in like so. Another good wall stretch is of course stepping out. We will probably know this one. Point your toes straight ahead, lock your knee out, and relax the hip down like so. Right, and just allow it to just push in, just nice and relaxed. And again, you can work that a little bit left, a little bit right, just to work the muscle down. So these are very, very easy kinds of calf stretches that you can do. The penultimate, of course, for the calf stretch is, of course, good old-fashioned downward dog, sitting here, feet about shoulder width apart, and from here just standing up and just relaxing the legs down. You can put it to the center, one leg down, other leg down, whichever sort of floats your boat. So these are all basic gastrocnemius or calf stretches. The other piece that also holds this back is, of course, in your Achilles tendon. The little tendon that runs sort of up here. So how do you get at that? Well, there's multiple sort of specialized stretches that can get there. The easiest one is simply sitting here, have your toe in line with your knee, put your body weight over and just reach forward. So here I can feel it straight up here, I can feel it going a little bit higher into my calf, but it's really that nice deep base stretch. Again, keep the weight on your heel as you go. So just feeling that nice and relaxed. Good. Another one to get the Achilles is again against a wall. Very similar to our calf stretch, which our calf stretch is here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to release my hip and I'm going to bend my knees. So here, what I'm doing is I'm taking, instead of being straight like I do with my calf stretch and push my hip forward, I now release the knee, I just let it go, and I sink the hip down. So notice my hip comes up and pushes down rather than this sort of up and sort of push the whole thing. It bends and stretches back into the Achilles, and I can feel that again. It just deepens that stretch just nicely for me. Okay, so as you go through and think about these different sort of places, you can really start to work on that ankle flexibility. Again, these stretches, you don't want to just sort of do them, just sit on them and then go. You want to hold them for a good period of time, allow them to sort of work. Of course, you want to balance that with strengthening the muscle, right? So to work on a lot of things like calf raises, working on those kinds of motions. Your calves is so incredibly integral into your karate training that you want to make sure that you work on them both in terms of flexibility but also strength, and also working the antagonist down the front of the shins, right? These kinds of the muscles that run down there, the programs that hold the balance, right? All of those kinds of pieces work. Today we're just talking about calves, right, and how to improve that ankle flexibility. Again, make sure that you work on strengthening your ankles, make sure that you work on building up strength in the calves and the front of the leg through all of that good karate training that you do. So I hope this helps. I hope this gives you a couple of stretches at least to get at the calves, right, to have a fiddle with them. If you like this kind of stuff, I know a bazillion stretches. For me, I'm not naturally a very flexible person, both mentally and fit, I'm kidding. But what I hope is that these stretches can help you start to work towards that, things that I do myself. I'm not particularly flexible, so I have to work on these stretches harder than most. So with that, I hope this works for you. Look forward to seeing you again next time and work on that calf and ankle flexibility. Take care. See you soon.